Good afternoon. Just wanted to give my thoughts and comments on the the 2030 emissions reductions plan. So one of the things we have to look at is what the effect of this is going to have on the Canadian economy. This is a very broad plan going across all sectors of the Canadian economy. What we learned actually last week in a report that was released by the Parliamentary Budget Officer is that the Liberal government didn't calculate the cost of the carbon tax as it works its way through the economy. And when you do that, you end up with an actual loss to 6 in 10 Canadians. They're financially worse off. And the government by 2030 ends up with $5 billion in less revenue that they have not taken into account. So when we look at a plan like this, I am highly skeptical that they've done the complicated analysis to see what the effect of this is going to have on the Canadian economy and, of course, on Canadian taxpayers. Some of the things that they have put in here, for example, a 30% reduction in fertilizer. MNP did a report on this and said from now until 2030, this will cost Canadian farmers $48 billion and then $10 billion a year after that. And that doesn't even take into account what that will do to the cost of food right now as we're living through an affordability crisis. So I am deeply concerned about what the effect that this plan is going to have on the Canadian economy and, of course, on Canadians.
Do you think that they drive down emissions in any way?
Well, they haven't met a single emissions target yet. So I spoke to that in the House of Commons today. Emissions from 2016 to 2019 actually went up by, I think, 27 megatons. So they have no track record to say that anything they do actually results in emissions. In fact, what they do is harm the Canadian economy and harm Canadians themselves financially.
Do you support the 2030 targets?
We've always supported the Paris. We've supported the Paris targets.
And
which are a 30% reduction below 2005 levels. Not these.
That's no longer the target, yeah. 40 to 45%.
Well, that's the Trudeau target, a target that he's put on Canada when he hasn't met a single target. So anyone can make up targets and say, we're going to reduce greenhouse gases by 80%, and then do nothing to actually get to that target. And that's what we're dealing with today.
But the Paris Accord is you're supposed to get more ambitious, and that is exactly what Canada and other countries did. So why do you not support the intent of the Paris target, which was to increase that ambition?
Well, it's great to intend things and to hope for things. What we need are actual plans that result in emission reductions. And what we get from this government are plans that cost a lot of money. The minister was at committee last week when he said, since 2016, we've spent $60 billion to reduce Canada's greenhouse gas emissions. Well, guess what? Between 2016 and 2019, they actually went up. I'm all for aspirational things, but at the end of the day, what we need are plans that actually work and don't have incredibly catastrophic effects on the Canadian economy and Canadians.
Just so I'm clear, you're saying they never met these goals in the past. Do you think anything is different now with this plan that they put out today, that maybe they will drive down emissions, or do you think that's off the table?
Well, look, I don't think they're going to meet these targets because they don't have a track record where they meet any targets. What we do know is that the cost of some of the things that they've put in this plan are going to be economically disastrous for Canadians. And I referenced just one small portion, which is a 30% reduction in fertilizer. The costs of that are going to be gigantic. The costs of food as a result of that will also go up. These are things that should be in a plan like this. They should be honest with Canadians. They should say, this is what the plan is, this is what it's going to cost to the Canadian economy, this is how it's going to affect you, Canadian. Instead, they just talk about these magical reductions that actually never take place.
We're looking at caps on emissions in the plan. Most of the agencies are already come up with these caps in consultation with business groups. Just what do you make of that plan, and do you think that's a good strategy going forward, or is this just an incomplete plan with not having those caps in there?
So there's not a lot of specificity in how they're going to reach the targets in this thing. Of course, you need to consult with industry. You should be consulting with Canadians. But what this plan lacks is the clear plan of how you meet any of these targets. For example, they talk about a 42% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions from oil and gas. But where's the actual detailed analysis of what they're going to do and how it's going to get there? That's what's lacking in these things. It's a lot of talk, not a lot of action.
Merci beaucoup. Bien, tout d'abord, un premier commentaire sur le plan qui a été délivré aujourd'hui. Un commentaire général sur le moment choisi. Alors que nos alliés de l'Europe ont de plus en plus besoin de l'énergie éthique canadienne, d'annoncer qu'au cours des prochaines années, ceux-ci vont pouvoir compter sur moins d'énergie éthique canadienne. Je pense que le temps n'était pas vraiment approprié. Encore hier, je discutais et j'ai eu un échange avec l'ambassadrice de l'Union européenne. Et elle nous disait à quel point c'est important pour l'Europe de pouvoir compter sur l'énergie canadienne pour les années à venir. Donc, je pense que c'est le premier commentaire. Le deuxième commentaire, j'accorde en ce moment très peu de crédibilité au plan que les libéraux viennent de rendre public, compte tenu que les cibles de réduction des gaz à effet de serre qu'on avait auparavant n'ont jamais été sur le point d'être atteintes. Au contraire, depuis 2016, les émissions de gaz à effet de serre canadiennes sont allées en augmentant, malgré les milliards de dollars qui avaient été injectés par le gouvernement fédéral pour tenter d'atteindre ces cibles-là. Donc, on vient de prendre connaissance d'un plan immense. Mon collègue l'a entre les mains, là, comme vous pouvez le voir. Je ne peux pas analyser puis vous donner des détails puis mes commentaires sur l'ensemble de ce qu'il contient. Mais chose certaine, c'est que si le passé est garant de l'avenir avec ces libéraux, je ne crois pas que ces nouvelles cibles sont atteignables et que ce gouvernement-là va réussir à les atteindre.
Une petite question sur la cible des véhicules électriques, entre autres. Est-ce que vous pensez que c'est réaliste d'atteindre pour 2030 un niveau de 60% des nouveaux véhicules neufs vendus, des véhicules qui sont donc sans émission de gaz à effet de serre, 60%?
Bien, écoutez, ça va coûter très cher. Est-ce que d'ici 2030, c'est demain? Essayer en ce moment de trouver un véhicule électrique, ça prend déjà un an et demi avant d'être capable d'en avoir un. Donc, de fixer des objectifs comme ça, c'est peut-être des bien belles intentions, mais ce que je sais du plan que j'ai lu, c'est qu'il n'y a pas beaucoup de moyens démontrer comment le gouvernement libéral va réussir à faire en sorte que 60% des véhicules vendus au Canada soient des véhicules électriques dans une si courte période de temps. Merci.
Thank you.